Yeah, what up? It's Mr. Royce. Ooh, let me turn that echo down. You don't need that. You don't need that. What about now? Ooh, what? What about now? Is that better now? No, no. Yeah, that sounds good. Having some technical difficulties. Let me see if I can fix it. Hmm. Yeah, that sounds really good. What about now? That's a step. Wow. Having trouble. See? What about now? That better? Ain't that better? Do me a favor. Put a one in the chat if you can hear me. Put a one in the chat if you can hear me. Hopefully, this is a lot better. Let me see. Let's see what I got here. Okay, that look like it's better. Turn this down a little bit. How y'all doing today, man? This is Mr. Royce. It's Mr. Royce, J. Royce Media, coming at you guys with another live stream. And we're going to be talking about you're fired. This is in reference to the young man that appeared on a recent episode of the Balloon Pop show, and that he had a back and forth with a few of the women on the show, and because of it, people called his employer. Like 500 people or 500 calls were made to his employer, and they got him fired. This young man was a plumber by trade, and apparently because some of the audience members didn't like his responses to the females that he shared the stage with, they got him fired. What do y'all think about that, man? I looked at the video and I didn't see anything egregious that he said. He was pretty polite. He used all of the common platitudes like calling these women queens and stuff. He just simply told them how they felt about them rejecting him. And this was used as ammunition to get him fired. You know, what's funny is he didn't mention where he worked. He just mentioned what he did. He didn't mention, where he worked and stuff. But the audience members went and tracked down his employer, called his employer, and harassed his employer so bad that they had to fire him, that they chose to fire him. They didn't have to fire him because the parents on the show had nothing to do with the employer. It was sad. But this is what happens now of so current and we have to take consideration. This is the first time that something like this has happened where people got fired. But this is something that's concerning because, in my opinion, it's an overreach by both the audience members and the employer. Like as I mentioned before, this guy didn't mention who his employer was, and he didn't talk about his workplace. He was on a dating show. And as I said before, he didn't say anything egregious, in my opinion, but due to the harassment that the employers received and people calling in, this young man was fired. See, this right here is why I don't feel bad when this is why I don't feel bad when a lot of the women who show up on social media saying egregious stuff. This is why I don't feel bad when they get fired. You know, if they are going to do things like this, I'd say return to faith. You know, when I was working, I made it a point not to include my employers in anything that I said because I said some controversial stuff in social media, and I, I made sure I didn't mention my employers, and I really didn't even talk about what I did when I was working. I'm retired now, so I can talk freely about things from my former employer and things I experienced in my time in that line of work and stuff. But while I was working, I didn't really talk about my employer because I knew what time it was. I knew what type of time they were on, and I didn't want to be bothered, And I I think it's pitiful. It's one thing if you're talking about the employer and you're talking about what's going on at your job, and I that's one thing. If you are if you're attributing anything to your employer, then I think that's one thing I think you do put yourself and the reputation of the company at risk. But if you're not talking about the employer, You don't include your employer in your opinions and stuff. The employer shouldn't have the right to be able to do that. And there should be a way that people who are fired because of stuff like this, there should be a way that people who are victimized by, uh, the what they say on social media. I think the employer should be sued. I think just the employer should be successfully sued. I mean, this is crazy. What do you all think about this? Because I got a feeling we're going to see more of this. If you don't toe the social line, if you say something contrary to what someone in the employment office doesn't like, that you can get fired. People have lost jobs, and people have, you know, um, prevented been prevented from getting jobs because of an opinion that they may have voiced on social media. That can be problematic, especially especially if it's not something that's racist or what they deem homophobic or different things like that. You shouldn't be fired because you say something contrary to the social narrative. Man, that's crazy. That's crazy. What do you all think about that? What do y'all think about that? I think it's a sad state of affairs. You know, I think something like this. When you have companies like that do things like this, especially what was done to this young man, I think the companies should be aired out and boycotted behind that. Because that was an unjust firing. You know, I don't understand how companies could even put something like this into policy. You understand what I'm saying? I don't understand how companies are able to include something like this in policy. Again, if it was something racist or if it was something homophobic, even something that may have been overtly chauvinist, okay, all right, you know, maybe you can bring the employee in and talk to them about it. But, even with that, companies should be careful because if this person is doing this on their own time, you can't police what they say. You can't police their opinions. You know, you can't do that. You know, this is why companies that do stuff like that should be boycotted. You know, now the funny thing is, none of the employers of the young women that were on the show who had some really they had some very controversial opinions about this young man. Nobody's calling their job. They in fact their opinions were no more controversial than what his was. I haven't right now, as of now, I haven't seen anything where anybody's tried to get these people fired from their job. Which, if that was the case, I would have an issue with that too. These people are on a dating show. You know, they're on a dating show and they made their opinions about the people that appeared on the show. That nobody that was on that show should be getting fired for that. You know, but if that's going to be the case, gentlemen, I say return the favor. I say return the favor. They take out one man for voicing his opinion, and if it's an opinion they don't like, and he gets fired, I say three women should get fired because that's the only thing that's going to stop stuff like this from happening. Is when you start hitting women back in the pocket, that'll slow up a lot of nonsense. What do you all think about this? What do y'all think about this? Before I continue, I have on my Caribbean Heritage shirt. Shout out to Caribbean Heritage Month. I have Caribbean and Central American ancestry. You know, shout out to my people over in Honduras, Belize, and Puerto Rico. Shout out to my family over there, and shout out to all my Caribbean people who are in the audience. If you're listening, shout out to you. Happy Caribbean Heritage Month. You know, we're not going to let the we're not going to let the sexual preference people, take over our the great month of June. Pretty soon, Puerto Rican Day is coming up, and we're going to celebrate that. Have a good time with that. You know, getting back to the topic, what do you all think about that? Do me a favor as you come into the chat, hit that like button or hit the dislike button. Hit one of them buttons. You don't like what I'm saying, you disagree with what I'm saying, hit the dislike button. You know, if you like it, of course, hit the like button. I'd appreciate either one, you know. So, think about it is people are going to say things that other people don't agree with, be it as a serious opinion or be it as joking. Earlier today, I had a little back and forth with a stud, and the stud didn't like what I said. 'Cause I made a joke about the stud looking like Hurricane Chris. It was a joke, stud took offense to it, and I understand. I understand that content creator, you know, that content creator was upset. Yeah, I mean, yeah, okay, you know. I'm sorry that you look like Hurricane Chris to me if you're out there listening and watching this live stream, because you told me that I was old and I need to be making some content, and that I need to clean my office up and stuff like that, that I need to go get a pension check. She was mad. She was mad. Oh, listen, on social media, it's really hard to say stuff to me that's really gonna just really make me upset. I've been called coon. I've been called the N word with the hard ER. I've been called sellout. I've been called ugly. So I'm surprised that the stud didn't call me ugly. You know, all you had was that I'm old. Hey, where I come from, being old is an honor. I survived 2 wartime deployments. I survived the west side of Chicago. I survived 29 years of law enforcement. I am lucky to be alive. Being old is it's a compliment the way I see it. 'Cause I know a lot of people didn't get old. I grew up in the 90s during the crack era. A lot of cats I know didn't make it. You know, I don't mind being old. I hope I get older. I want to see my great grandkids. So being old means nothing to me. I got a relative right now that's 105 years old. I want to get as old as that dude. So yeah, I'll be old. I'll be old. Cool. Cool. I get around great and I have a lot of fun. I eat well. I got money in my pocket. Hey, I'll be old. Want to call me old? You want to say my office is junky? Okay. You need to clean your office. You need to. Man, oh my God. Hey, to that content creator, if you watching, one time I got called a bootleg Bun B. Somebody told me I look like Bun B if somebody ordered Bun B from Wish. Hey, you gonna talk about me? Hey, at least make it funny. You know what I'm saying? Make it funny. Anyway, getting back to this situation with the content creator, with the young man that got fired. This whole thing of running around getting people fired for what they say on social media, um, it's problematic because I look at it as, where's it going to stop? Where's it going to stop? You know, you can't agree with everybody on everything. Straight up. Everybody ain't going to like what you say. You're not going to like what everybody else says. It is what it is. You're going to run around and try to get people fired. See, this whole gender war thing, it's stupid, especially with what's coming in the near future. People going to appreciate them gender roles, and they're going to appreciate the gender roles of people of the opposite gender. And they're going to recognize that there's only two genders. It's not going to be 18 to 24. It's going to be two genders. With what's about to come, you're either going to be male or female. You're either going to be a man or a woman. All that other stuff is going to be inconsequential with what's about to happen. We are on. We are at the edge of war. All this gender war stuff is going to be out the window. You know, people are going to need each other in this country. People are going to need each other because it's going to get bad. And so, some stuff just got to be set aside. I talked about what I was talking about last night. This whole, um, uh, this whole thing with all these crazy requirements for people being married. Listen, you need to find somebody that you can work with, and y'all can get together and build a life and do what you need to do for each other. All that other stupid stuff, it ain't gonna matter real shortly. For all you people that want to choose your genders and stuff, that stuff ain't gonna matter. If nobody has money, it's not going to matter. Gender don't it's not gonna have the impact if everybody broke. A woman can get robbed just like a man can, you know? So I think we got to come up off this a lot of the I think there's a lot of first world problems, and where people worry about the wrong stuff, you know. Do y'all agree with the fake ass Bun B? I'm the fake Bun B. Y'all agree with me? Hit that like button. Hit that like button. Yeah. Y'all agree? Do y'all agree? Man, it's about to get ugly out here. This whole gender war stuff going forward. It what are you going to tell your kids? Are you going to have your kids hating one side of what makes them? Are you going to have your kids hating women, or your kids hating men, hating one side of themselves? Y'all see what I'm trying to say? Y'all feel me? No, man, I don't. Anyway, That's what we got going, man. That's what we got going. So there's a lot of disingenuousness going on happening. There's a lot of needless maliciousness happening, and it's all showing up on these platforms, man. From YouTube to Facebook to Instagram, so forth and so on. I was looking the other day at a post about Ike and Tina Turner, and somebody made a song. Tina was singing. She's about to go into a song called man, I can't think of the song, but during the intro, Ike said, "I'm gonna give you a black eye." They use AI to insert that in the video while Tina was singing, and it was funny. And you had people in there talking about domestic abuse is not funny, which it isn't. Domestic abuse in itself is not funny. No matter who commits it, it's not in itself. But um, you had that, and you had people disparaging Ike Turner and making Tina out to be a saint. Well, if you know anything about uh, Annie Mae, what is her name? Annie Mae Buckley. If you know anything about her, she was just, number one. She was just as violent as Ike Turner. Judge Joe Brown spilled the beans on her. Ike and Tina's one of their daughters spilled the beans on her. A lot of people giving up the tea about how violent Anime Buckley was, and I found out you know years ago that Anime was a madam. She was a madame, and she was a gorilla with it. Is that not violent? I mean, that's a trafficker, and she was a violent trafficker. You know, but people don't like to bring that up. You talk about it, just how bad she was, and then it was, there was this trope that some people were saying that Ike was jealous of Tina. Ike Turner wrote music with some of the greatest bands in rock and roll history. Ike Turner is a rock and roll pioneer. He made Tina Turner what she was, or Annie Mae Buckley. He made Annie Mae Buckley what she had become, what the world now knows as Tina Turner. How could he been jealous with her? And I'm not saying the domestic abuse, the intimate partner violence that he engaged with her was justified. By no means, I'm not saying. What I am saying is that I didn't have a reason to be jealous of her in that regard. And again, they both were violent to each other. How are we going to call out one without calling out the other? I mean, this really goes back to this situation where this young man got fired. You got people that had no problem with going after the young man for what he said, which wasn't bad at all, but nobody went after what the women said, which some of it was harsher than the criticism he gave. When are we going to get enough of this one-sidedness, especially living in a society in a time and day where people say, uh, men and women are equal. Well, me being the egalitarian man that I am, when you say that, I say, okay, men and women are equal. Men and women should receive the same praise and be held to the same accountability that that's out there. If a woman mess up, if she do something that a man would get 30 years in prison for, then she should get it too. If a woman does a great job and becomes a, a leader of industry, she should get that praise. No different than a man. you know. But what we got to stop doing is having this selective equality, you know. This is why I support women have being required to sign up for selective service in the draft. They want equality, so hey, get some of that equality. Let's start with selective service. People they don't want to do that, bro. And I take issue with that. Either we're gonna be equal, we not gonna be equal. Y'all need to figure that. Y'all need to figure it out. Y'all need to figure it out, man. What y'all think? What y'all think about that? What y'all think about that, man? Yeah. Well, looking at what we got going on. I'm not going to go too much further with this stream. I'll probably come back and talk about it a little bit more later on today, because I do think this is a topic that needs to be addressed more. I do think this is something that we really got to take into consideration, and we really need to examine: is getting people fired the right thing to do just because they said something you didn't agree with? You know, especially if it wasn't racist, if it wasn't, you know, one of the phobics, one of the icks or isms. You know, we need to really examine: is getting people fired an ability that people should have on social media against people in their jobs. You know, not too long ago, you had that therapist that got fired for what she said about uh, black male clients. You know, as a therapist, somebody sought out her job and got her fired. You know, because of instances like the one that this young man experienced. I don't feel sorry for women that get fired, because women don't feel sorry for getting men fired. You know, I could see if and for what she said, I mean, really looking at it, it wasn't that egregious. It was controversial, but it wasn't that egregious. And on a certain level, I do agree with it that black men do need therapy. Black men go through a lot. They get treated like crap. They absolutely need therapy. I agreed with that. I had no issue with her saying that, you know. But what she said got her fired. I can't feel sorry for her, you know, because there have been instances where guys have gotten fired for saying certain stuff, you know. Guys have stated their preferences on who they want to date and have gotten fired because people called their job. That's an issue. That is definitely an issue. What do y'all think about that, man? Well, I'm going to close this out. Again, I like to apologize to that content creator that I see it look like Hurricane Chris. I'm sorry you look like Hurricane Chris to me, you know. But in this content creation game, guess what? People are going to say stuff you don't like. People say stuff to me all the time I don't particularly care about, you know. But at the end of the day, they can't really hurt me, you know. Um, it is what it is. I mean, people are going to say stuff. Some people are going to love the content you make. Some people are going to hate the content you make. Some people are going to make fun of how you look. Some people are going to love the way you look. It is what it is. You know, it happens when you jump out here as a content creator. You run the risk of people stating opinions that you don't like. Mike Reed, what up, bro? Hey man, I'm glad you're here. I appreciate you. I'm about to shut this down, but I'm coming back a little bit later on today. I see you went live with a question and answer yesterday. Hey, for those of you all who are looking to get into the appliance repair on the commercial side of the game, check out Mike Reed's content. He's a great content creator when it comes to that. He answers a lot of questions and he puts out a lot of information that is awesome information. I recommend him. He's a good brother. I've been knowing Mike Reed. I know Mike Reed from back in the day when he was a young fella. I was grown when he was a young fella because I'm old. I'm old, so hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, Mike, can you hear me? Do me a favor and put a one in the chat if you can hear me. My mixer died, so um, I can't use my mic because my mix is dead. So I had to go with my beats, you know. So it might not sound that great. It is what it is, you know. It is what it is. But if you can hear me, check out Mike Reed's channel. He's got some great stuff on there, you know. Yeah, you can hear me. You can hear me. I appreciate you, brother. Yeah, man. In fact, one of these days I actually want to do a show with Mike Reed so he can talk about what he does on my channel and give you guys a history of how he got into that business, you know. And so if you guys have questions and stuff over here, you can ask him about it. I do some appliance repair myself, but nothing like what Mike Reed does. Mike Reed is the man when it comes to that. And he works with all the big brands, and he does a lot of the, he's a big wheel when it comes to that. Especially compared to me, I am a nobody. So, hey, Mike, we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna. Hey, did you see the Javante Davis fight? Did you see that? Before I go, let's talk about that real quick. Did you see the fight, Mike? I saw the knockout. I didn't watch the fight. I am not a big Gervonta Davis fan. To me, his uh his selling the fights is lousy. But he does good work in the ring. He does good work. I think he gets hit too much. I don't think he moves his head enough. But when he land, hey, he's all business when he dropped them shots. You know, them cats don't be walking away from them shots real easy. Javante Davis, he got some heavy hands. Yeah, man. I only saw the knockout, but yeah, man. I'm gonna shut this down at 1:30, and like I said, I'll come back. Mike Reed says working too much. Hey, Mike Reed out there getting that money, and he will show you how to get that money too. He'll definitely show you how to get that money. The great thing about appliance repair, it doesn't take. There's a low bar of entry. Not that you don't need a lot of skills. Um, you need to know some things about electricity and mechanics and stuff like that. But it's not something where you need to go to four years of school or even 2 years of school. It's something you can pick up. And one in the training classes, it may take you, a few months, and you can start being a appliance technician. You know, Anyway, I'm about to shut this down. I appreciate you all being here. This is Mr. Royce of Royce Media. Do me a favor, like, share, and subscribe. Tell a friend. And you guys take it easy. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.